Cindy and I don't eat a lot of bread. When we do, we like a good crusty bread. And on this absolute beautiful day, we didn't have any bread. All we had was some lettuce, but we had the makings of a BLT. So we use lettuce as the bread. It's not a new idea, but it is a new twist on an old favorite. And this is how it got started for us. We actually had some bacon left over for breakfast. Well, since I don't have any bacon left over for breakfast, we're going to go from scratch with raw bacon. We're first going to chop this up. Not completely to where it's invisible fine. We're going to leave nice chunky pieces so we can identify it as it goes into what will become our bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich. But what we do want to make sure is that it's crisp, and we want to cook it to where we render out most of the fat so we don't end up with a really greasy wannabe sandwich. And so just by cutting through the bacon, I'll be honest, it's a lot easier to cut this bacon into smaller pieces when it's just a little frozen. Most knives will go right through it. When it starts to get acclimated to the temperature and get soft, it does get a little sticky and it takes a little bit more time to get through it. I've cut all the pieces about a ½ inch or so it gives them a chance to render down and still leave us with some identifiable bacon pieces. And once again, we're going to cook this to where we can get it good and breakfast type crisp. A lot of fat coming out of that bacon. We're going to let it sit in there and continue to do its bacon thing until it's nice and brown and crisp. And in the meantime, we'll turn our attention over here to the L, the T, and the A. That's going to be the lettuce, which this is the butter leaf lettuce. So all we've done here is pull out the outer leaves. This thing's already been washed, so these are good to go, washed and dried more importantly. The tomato, we're going to cut it. We're going to remove the seeds from this and just use the outside. And then, of course, we've got our nice fresh and ripe avocado. Starts off with the tomato, cutting off the head, cutting off the little tail part. Now we can kind of get a bird's eye view of the rest of the tomato, and you can see where the seed pod would start to set about right here. So we don't want all of the seeds in there. It just kind of makes it runny. So what we're going to do is right onto the edge of the tomato, almost like we were peeling an orange. You can see I just got the very edge of the little seed pod. We're going to take just the outside of the tomato. If you don't mind the seeds, you can go right into it with those seeds, but it will make the sandwich a little bit more drippy. If by chance you happen to get some of the seeds, just take the edge of a spoon and you can just scoop those out. It's not so detrimental. It's not going to ruin the sandwich. It does just make it when you're trying to make them, especially out of a lettuce, using that as your bread. If you've got a lot of runny stuff in there, it likes to run out of the lettuce and eventually down your arm. I think what really works for this dish, not only is it the texture and the flavors, but it's because of the way that everything fits together. Since we cut the bacon to be basically at about 1/4 inch size when it's said and done, I've cut the tomato here, just a 1/4 inch dice on everything, so that fits, well, just about the same shape, so you get that same little mouthfeel and you don't end up with the spill. Now here's a neat little tip when it comes to the avocado. First, on the very end here where this thing would grow out of the stem, if it has a little button on it, let's see if this one does. This one does. If it has this little button on it, pop that thing out, because here's what happens. It always somehow ends up in whatever you're making. So get rid of that first. The next thing is we want to have the avocado. And here's the cool part about it. Once you get the knife put in, all you have to do is rotate the avocado all the way around, so that way the blade stays nice and still, and what you're left with are two nice halves. Here's what I've seen a lot of people do that end up in injury trying to get the pit out of the avocado. Sharp edge of the knife, boom, right in the center. I'll do that again. Boom, right in the center. Give it a half a twist, and this thing pops right out. This isn't the part where people get injured. You know where people get injured? Trying to remove this from the sharp end of the blade. I've actually seen people grab it this way and try to rotate using their fingers and end up with a really nasty cut. So here's what you got to do. Pinch it. You got to pinch it. Are you ready? One more time. Pinch it, just like this. Put your fingers on the back side of the knife. Here's the sharp edge. This is not the sharp edge. Back edge of the knife, and pitch the pit. Boom. And it pops off just like that. Another cool thing about the avocado is you can do all of the slicing and dicing while it's still in its avocado skin. Once you get all the score cuts just the way you want them, the spoon's your best friend. The skin wants to give away the avocado, especially when it's ripe. So putting the spoon right along the skin's edge here, inside the avocado, it comes out, and look at that. Sliced, diced, and ready to eat. Bacon is brown and crispy, but we don't need it to be brown, crispy, and greasy. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to remove it from the fat using either a spider, or if you have just a slotted spoon, you can do the same thing here. Careful with the hot grease. We're going to go right onto a little paper towel, onto a plate. We'll let that come up to room temperature so it's not too hot in the mouth. We don't want to wilt our lettuce here. And then we are almost ready to eat. Got everything here assembled, and we've done it sort of like it would be an appetizer. You could set this out if you were having yourself a little get-together, and putting it together is just this easy. Some bacon onto our Bib lettuce leaf, and in this case we're using butter leaf lettuce. Some bacon. Now let's go ahead and add some tomato to it. I really like tomatoes, so a couple more pieces, especially ripe tomato. Oh, in the summer, you know how good this is going to be. And then for texture, to kind of make it a little creamy out there, we will throw in, oh, look at that, the avocado. And then a quick wrap, a little fold, and then the bite. I'm going to need a minute. Okay, I'm back. I'm literally sweating from the excitement with this because I want you to try it. Here is the work level when it comes to this. It's all the way down here. Here's the flavor for it, way up here. You've got bacon, you've got the fresh Bib lettuce. You can use iceberg, the super salad lettuce of the 70s. You can break that out. A fresh tomato as we get into summertime and people have these growing crazy in their backyards. And then, of course, a nice creamy avocado. It's a new take on an old favorite. It's my version of the BLT, and I think that if you invite some friends around this little spread here, not just you, but your friends too will be saying, when it comes to BLTs, that new twist, there is none better.